Hello, hello, hello. Yeah, I'm starting to run low on fuel. So let's do this. It's good times. Good times were had by all. All right, so let's check this out. Let's check the entire screen. Now, what happened? Well, basically, I was like, can we skip the Superbase integration now and use either my computer's memory or whatever these AI IDEs might suggest? The issue is that once we create a project in Superbase, if we don't use it, then it will be paused. And then there's another way to continue to work without expressly using Superbase right now. Now, my second Gemini Advanced window actually gave me a couple of other suggestions first. And so I decided to paste the exact same comment in the first window. This comment, it says like maybe you should probably think about doing something like what what recommend using Superbase local development environment. So it says you need to go to Docker and then install this Superbase CLI. Now it wasn't quite as simple as it shows here on this screen. It actually took quite a while. I did not do it with those prompts. So I said I'm working with Liaison. Here's some of the progress. I'm already in the project directory. Now run Superbase start. Superbase. All right. So then it gave me some local development setup stuff and some, I don't even know. It gave me some keys. So I guess now you can, whoever's watching this can access my computer. I don't know how that works exactly. Anyways, so I did all that stuff, and then I said, do we need any updates to the documentation, like for the tech stack or Sprint One right now, or will we do that later? It actually decided to create some kind of weird file, and then after it created this file, I was like, whoa, 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 whoa. Are you starting to forget which documents we've already created? And I'm asking what should update any of the files we've created. Now I'm wondering about the purpose of the additional document. It's like, oh, okay. Actually, yeah, you're right. We already have all those documents. And probably let's disregard the last large file I generated. Let's confirm the primary set of calibration documents. So we got these 8 documents. I think there's like a slight difference of, I mean, what I should probably do is copy this, then go to document number 1 and change it because I have different names than this guy has. Project overview. Okay, it's the first part. And then what does it say for the second one? App structure and workflow MD. App structure and workflow. Yeah, it's like exactly, it's pretty much the same. But anyways, I can do this later. Um, yeah, so that's about it for this page. Other than that, what happened was, so you can see inside of the cursor and Windsurf, I was able to connect it to this Docker. Now, I don't know if actually we can see anything in the Docker. Oh, okay, so we got one of them at least. I don't know what this one is exactly. It's got something's going on. There should be 2. Oh, yeah. So I don't know what's going on with that. So something's working, and we're using 1.5 gigabytes of the memory. So I don't know what's going on with that. Anyways, I'm on hold with the cursor and Windsurf for now. It says I had to connect all these Superbase keys and stuff like that, and then it had to like download. It was just a bunch of stuff. This thing took forever. It was downloading all kinds of stuff for a couple of minutes. Anyways, so but that's it for today. I'm going to close these 2 windows. Now it was a little bit different for cursor. I tried to set for Replit. I tried to set it up with Replit, and it didn't. It's like it wouldn't connect with Docker on my computer, and so and then eventually it said, "Hey, well, actually, I have like a database inside of the software. See, it has this database tab. So if you click the database tab, then you can see my data. So it actually already has this like database thing already. So it says, why don't you just use the database which we already have inside of, inside of our system, right? What does that mean? It means that I got our databases all figured out, basically. The next JS is initialized, the Git is initialized, the local Supabase instance is available, the configured to connect to local Supabase, the next, and then this thing called Prisma setup. We did the Prisma setup, and then now with the Windsurf project, next task. Which one is this? Cursor. Okay. So for cursor, it's saying we're going to set up Prisma for cursor. We're going to set up Prisma for Windsurf. The Replit project, it's already, they did this, they did this, they did this. The database is set up. Prisma is already installed. Prisma client is generated. Replit is the most advanced and is essentially database ready for Sprint 1. External Supabase dev environment Docker running for Cursor and Windsurf. CLI installed. Docker desktop is running. Next steps. Now what Replit has fully migrated Prisma client, we should bring Cursor and Windsurf to the local projects up to the same state for Prisma setup. All right, so I'm just gonna Replit. I did this. I think I did this. Did I do this? This is an excellent news. I don't know. Did I just write this already? This is excellent news. Thank you for clarifying and showing me the successful migration. All right. So what, I've got to copy this? Now, I would say, like, generally speaking, I'm not too happy about Cursor's copy and paste function because it's very slow. So you have to copy that first part, and then you have to copy the second part, and then you got to copy the third part. It's very, very ineffective. It takes forever. So the copy and paste king is still Cursor. Cursor just has this little button here, and it copies everything. It copies the stuff inside, it copies the stuff outside. And then Windsurf, it's the same problem. Well, it's a different problem. So you can see when I copy everything, when I run my cursor up to copy everything, it does copy everything actually. So it's better than Replit, but it doesn't have a one button click for copy. And so Cursor is still the winner for that. Okay, the AI has provided the exact schema content of Prisma for a Replit code snippet. Okay. Now let's bring your local development via Cursor Windsurf up to speed. So we're gonna think, who's this one? Cursor. So I started thinking about like which one of these programs is gonna stop first. I just don't know because we haven't actually been running the projects at the same speed. There was a bunch of weird steps that I've been trying to like experiment with everything for a really long time. And so like it's possible that I've used credits not exactly fair with all the different systems. So okay, so you see here, I can just click this copy and then I paste it in here and it copies, it literally copied. Okay, wait, it didn't. It's copied from where? Okay, so I'll install this. Does it have the install bash npm? Yeah, so look, it has everything. Now, no, it copied, it didn't copy this inside of here. And then JSON, Prisma. So it didn't actually do this thing. Okay, so now it's really different because it doesn't actually copy the stuff inside of the terminal. So that means that Windsurf is the only one that copies the stuff inside of the terminal. I wonder if yeah, and even if I just drag my cursor, if I drag my cursor up, oh, also it doesn't move the screen up automatically. You see this one, when I click up, it moves the screen up. You see that? Now with cursor, it does not do that, and it also does not copy the stuff inside. Cursor. All right, so now it's different. It's just like very different. So now I would say that I don't know what to say anymore because it copies what it'll tell you what it's done, but it doesn't actually. The use block is already configured. I don't know. I don't know what to think about this. But it doesn't really matter for me because the thing is that I don't know why that's important or if it should be important. So, and we're just really at the very first steps of this project. What I'm hoping is that we have enough credit in all three of these systems so that within the next couple of days, see, I'm going to lose my Gemini Advanced on the 10th. I got basically 4 more days until I have to make a decision about Gemini Advanced. Do I want to continue with Gemini Advanced or do I want to try Claude? Because there's some other thing I want to test. I want to test these MPCs or MP whatever they are. I want to test something, and I can only do that with Claude. So I don't know. This is basically my day. It's just copy and pasting back and forth. I think this time I'm going a little bit slower. I'm definitely documenting everything and making sure I always have documentation. It looks like we got one more cursor AI to plug in. Error, can't reach the database. All right, so now it's like telling it that there's an error. Maybe it actually explained the error, but it didn't copy the actual error. So it can't reach the database. Okay. The error message is. All right, now this is the question. It has the error message is. Does it actually print the error message is? Okay, it prints it that the error message is. Please check verify that your local superbase Docker instance is still running. You can usually check that. It's running. And see, this is the point, like for people that have no background in coding, is that like I just at some point I want to see which one can get the furthest with the least problems and doesn't require that worked. Okay. I mean, eventually at some point somebody's gonna die, right? I mean, I know that with Windsurf, what I'm worried about is the UI, like what it actually looks like, because I had some problems with designing the client-facing user interface. With Cursor, I'm afraid it's going to have some kind of issue, and then at some point it'll just stop. It'll just be like it won't be able to fix it anymore. With Replit, I don't know. With Replit, I'm just kind of beside myself. I don't really know how to think about that right now. Anyways, the way that it's working right now with the project is that our little buddy here, a Gemini friend, is really trying to get everybody on the same page. And yeah, it's interesting. Hey, see, so it copies so much more information when I use Windsurf. So we're just gonna go for a couple more minutes. I'm gonna go downstairs and get my dog. He's running around the neighborhood. Who knows what he's doing? He's a little bit sick today, and I don't know what to do when he's sick. He puked this morning as we were walking up the stairs, and then some other things that you don't want to know. And then I put him in, closed the door, put him in his room, closed the door, let him sleep and relax for a minute. And then we just went for our 7 p.m. walk. And when we did our 7 p.m. walk, then he suddenly, I don't know, he just had a lot more energy. Seems like he was able to. What the, me? Who's me in this situation? And then when usually at 7 p.m. when he goes out, after I come back, I just let him stay outside. He wears a muzzle. He's the only one in the neighborhood that has to wear a muzzle because he's just so loud and he just barks at everybody and he picks fights and stuff. He's a little bit, but he's doing better. Today we went for a walk and there was a dog who wanted to fight him, and we just stood our ground and he didn't go crazy. And it was good. So ensure Windsurf is active, correct. Paste the text. Wait for it to complete. Reply the entire terminal from this command to me. Okay. And then we walked away, and then there was another dog, but then the other dog was like happy to make friends. It's like you just never know which dogs are going to be crazy and which dogs are going to be cool. It's just so weird. Because the other dog, he had scars all over his face. Like the two dogs that were going crazy, that I think they wanted to have a fight, they were like, they didn't have any scars or any scratches or anything. And they were like, hey, let's fight. And I just stood there, strong. And my dog was just like standing and not, he was like thinking about it. He's like, should I attack? What am I going to do here? But I've been trying to teach him that we're not going to be attacking anymore. We did attack for like the first year and a half of his life so he could learn how to fight and protect himself and try to understand what it feels like. Request. But eventually, like that's not the solution for every situation. So now that he's older, he was turning into a bully. So now that he knows how to fight and he knows like what some of his limitations are and how to kind of manage his relationship with other dogs. What is going on here? So we just stood our ground. Well, a couple of times I had to hit him with his, because I got his leash, and he was getting in too many fights. So then, now when he gets in the fight, I give him a little whack, and then he's like, "Wait a minute, why am I getting the whack? I like getting in fights." And then now he's kind of settled down, stopped fighting everybody. Let's proceed with Windsurf AI's recommendation and run the Prism resolve. Okay. Then so we bumped into this other dog like right away. So his adrenaline's pumping from the first dog situation. He runs into the second dog, and the other dog has scars all over his face, and he's like ready to kill. Looks like he's ready to kill somebody. But then he just was relaxed, and he was just like, "Hey guys, how you doing? Looks like you're new around here. You guys wanna?" I was like, "Well, that's weird." So you get the feeling sometimes that like older dogs that have a lot of scars. This clearly shows an error. Windsurf explanation. Proposed solutions are spot on. Okay, good. Windsurf's excellent. So create the directory and rerun this. Finally ran this. So create the dummy migration resolve generate. Okay. Yeah, so older dogs, they've experienced it, and they've what the they learn how to. Hmm? So the thing is about these AI tools is like, why is it so complicated? Why is it still so complicated? Like, isn't this just really basic? Like, why can't it like recognize that there's an error? Okay, so sprint one progress. We made excellent progress. Okay, Windsurf. Everybody has the next JS and Git. Super base local development environment Docker. Started with cursor. Okay, something about Windsurf. All right, let's check out the Docker. Did something change? I don't see any changes. That didn't really change. I don't see any changes. Replit, they got their own database situation. Cursor configured. configured, Prism setup, install, schema, migration, client generation. That's good. That's good. That's good. All three environments are now fundamentally set with respect to databases. Update the architect in form of Architect Gemini with the successful setup of these three environments. Configure the Supabase authentication settings. This is done via the Supabase Studio. For our local development cursor, this will be located Supabase Studio accessible here. For the project Replit. Okay. Jeez. Plain text update for Architect Gemini. Perfect. Architect update sprint 1. Next.js local. Next steps configure. All right, so I'll just have to do this. Boom. I just copy this code and then throw her in here. Well, we haven't heard his voice for a while. See if we can, let's see if we can listen to Gemini's little chat. All right, let's get some audio going.
Excellent. Thank you for this clear and detailed progress update on Sprint 1. It's great to see the foundational work moving forward across all three environments. As architect, my review of this progress. 1. Project shells and Git, successfully initializing the Next.js projects, guidance MVP, with Git in Replit, and locally for Cursor and Windsurf, is a solid completion of the first set of tasks. 2. Prisma setup. Having Prisma initialized, the schema defined, user, project, module instance, scoreboard task, module type enum, and initial migrations successfully applied against the respective databases in all three environments is a significant milestone. All environments being database ready with Prisma is key. 3. Environment variables. Configuring these correctly for each environment is also crucial. Well done. Critical point for discussion. Database and authentication strategy for Replit. The update notes. Cursor and Windsurf projects are using the local Supabase instance, PostgreSQL plus auth. This is perfectly aligned with our plan to use Supabase for both database and authentication, with local development first. The Replit project is using its own dedicated Replit-managed PostgreSQL database. This difference for the Replit instance is a critical point we need to address before proceeding with authentication tasks. Our chosen authentication strategy is Supabase Auth. Supabase Auth is tightly integrated with its own PostgreSQL database. It manages an auth users table and related schemas within that database. If the Replit instance uses a separate, standalone Replit-managed PostgreSQL database, it cannot directly use Supabase Auth in the same integrated way as the Cursor and Windsurf instances. The user data managed by Supabase Auth would reside in the Supabase database, not the Replit database. Questions for you, as project manager, based on the liaison's update. 1. Was the decision for the Replit instance to use its own dedicated Replit-managed PostgreSQL database, rather than connecting to a Supabase PostgreSQL instance, even our local one for now, an intentional choice? Or did the Replit template environment default to this? 2. Given this, how was authentication envisioned for the Replit-specific instance? Architectural recommendation for Replit, to maintain stack consistency. For the sake of a unified technology stack, simpler development, and leveraging Supabase Auth across all development instances as planned. The most consistent approach would be for the Replit Next.js JS application to also connect to a Supabase PostgreSQL database. For local development, this could even be the same local Supabase Docker instance that Cursor and Windsurf are using, by configuring Replit's environment variables, secrets to point to link to host.docker.internal for the DB and link to host.docker.internal for the API, assuming Replit can reach your local Docker network. This can sometimes be tricky. Alternatively, if using a shared local Supabase instance for Replit is problematic, we could defer full Replit setup until we're ready to use a cloud Supabase instance that all environments can point to. If keeping the separate Replit DB is a firm requirement for the Replit instance, we would need to plan for a different authentication mechanism.
All right, so let's just, okay, the architect has reviewed the progress, raised some important points. This is a kind of high-level architectural oversight we need. Let's break down the architect's feedback, acknowledgement. Okay, this questions for you was the separate internal choice default. Okay, it actually answered the question. Sorry, I was just reading it. You didn't see the same page as me. A little more reading to go.
Okay, Project Manager, thank you for that very clear explanation and strategic decision regarding the Replit environment. As the architect, I fully agree with your approach. Focusing all Supabase auth integration and backend API route development on the local Supabase stack, via Cursor and Windsurf environments, for Sprint 1 is the most efficient way to ensure consistency and leverage our chosen stack. Allowing the Replit instance to use its current Replit-managed PostgreSQL for non-auth data experimentation and employing a mocked authentication flow for any auth-dependent UI there during Sprint 1 is a practical way to keep all environments progressing without getting bogged down by Docker to Replit.
Okay, step 1 for you to perform configure Supabase local Supabase Studio. All right. So I'll just copy everything because it just makes it a little faster. I'm going to pass it on to the second one. Now, the best practices at this point would be to get an update, to update some kind of documentation, because otherwise, like, how does it know? Okay. Okay, so I need to go. Can you create a markdown file that I could add to the set just in case I lose this window, and then after uploading all of the markdown files, I could upload this temporary markdown file that you will now create so that everyone will be configured and calibrated to continue. Add any and all details to help everyone understand where we are and what is next and why. Okay, that's what I need to do, is just need to create one extra file, because just never know when things are gonna wreck and fall apart. So I'm gonna close my Windsurf. I'm just gonna click save. I'm gonna close my Windsurf, and then I'm going to save. Looks like it's already saved. Close up my cursor. And then I'm just going to go here and put well, I'll just use what they're saying. You're seeing exactly, you're not seeing my whole screen. Okay. Oof. Save this project manager. Okay. So I'm going to copy that. Well, I'm going to actually in here. There we go. And then put it in here. I'm going to share this document. Editor. Copy. Jump into the Notion page. Sprint 1. Current step. Preview. Who knows what this thing just doesn't seem to want to stay connected, which I don't really mind. It doesn't really matter. It would be nice if I didn't have to do it again and again and again. There you go. Select the file to preview. There we go. There we go. There. So if we lose our Google web pages, then we'll be able to really clearly understand where we are right now. There you go. So that's a lot of work. I don't know if we're going to be talking to you tomorrow or not, but yeah, we certainly did a lot of work today. Bye-bye.